And hey, man, welcome back.
Oh, it's so good to be back. I loved our discussion on Desperado, and I know, we have Once Upon a Time in Mexico kind of sitting down the pipe. I was thinking about this, right? We're going full George Lucas on this trilogy. Think about it, right? We started in the middle. And now we've got the prequel, and then eventually we're going to screw it up by Rey saying she's a Skywalker or something. We're going to talk about Once Upon a Time in Mexico later. But yeah, we're George Lucasing our way through the El Mariachi trilogy, and I'm kind of here for it.
Me too. I'm actually excited about this because this is our first time watching it and discussing this movie. I've actually watched it from the second movie and then go into the third movie with Once Upon a Time in Mexico. So this is going to be something new for me because I usually don't try to start at the second movie because then I'm lost. But for somehow or another, I always wind up finding things in the second one that you don't really need to go back for the first one or the prequel.
Yeah, the cool thing, though, as you mentioned in the beginning, this is my first time actually watching this film, and I enjoyed it. I did. I love the fact that this is a $7,000 film. But what I found far more fascinating, and I don't know if you did this yourself, because I have this on DVD, and one of the special features on the DVD is like a 15-minute breakdown of some of the scenes that Robert Rodriguez shot, and he showed the raw footage and then how he edited around it. Because of the short budget, he didn't want to just do endless takes because that just burns through film. I was fascinated and riveted by watching this, mainly because by profession I'm a video editor, so this piqued my interest like no tomorrow. Maybe the second coolest special feature I've ever seen on a DVD. With the first one, I believe it was the first Men in Black film that I have on DVD, where one of the special features was you can actually edit one of the scenes as a special feature.
Wow, that's actually pretty cool. I didn't know that they had that.
Yeah. I remember going through it, and it's like, oh, you can show this shot at this time, a line of dialogue, or you can show this shot of this at this line of dialogue. It was the coolest freaking thing, and probably the closest I'm ever going to get to editing a full proper movie.
But you know what though? That's one thing I miss about special features on a DVD, right? Is the different special things that they give you, like editing or just the whole entire deal of watching like behind the scenes featurettes. As a matter of fact, I actually own all three of the El Mariachi movies on Blu-ray. I just bought the whole entire box set because I knew I was going to be reviewing them sooner or later. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go on ahead and buy the box set of it.
Yeah, I did the same thing with the don't laugh, with the Police Academy box set that had all 7 movies, and to that I said 7, but I bought them. But the thing too, and from a podcaster perspective, the DVDs and the Blu-rays are really kind of interesting because when you think about it, if you watch the movie with the director's commentary, it's basically like you're getting a director's podcast with a movie attached to it.
That's exactly right. I can definitely see that, how that's actually attached to each other and not discombobulated in any kind of way either. So, yeah, I can definitely see that.
Right? Watch-alongs before watch-alongs happened.
Right? You know what? I always wanted to do probably a recording, like a watch-along, like doing reaction videos for movies that some people haven't seen for the first time and doing it that way, and then breaking them down and then re-edit that. So it's kind of like hangled into the whole entire thing with the El Mariachi, with your take on the Men in Black DVD.
Okay. I was in London, UK, earlier this year, and one of the things I got to watch while I was there and just flipping through channels mindlessly at night was this show called Gogglebox. I don't know if you've actually heard of it or not.
No, I haven't heard of it.
So the whole idea of Gogglebox is that all these different people who partake in the show, they have cameras in their homes and they film themselves watching TV through the week. And then the people at Gogglebox will take those reactions and put them together in a show because everyone's watching the same show. It was the most fascinating thing I watched on the BBC, and I cannot get enough of it. And I need more Gogglebox in my life.
Check that out now. I'm gonna write that down and make sure I put that into uh my viewing programs because that's actually pretty interesting. That's actually kind of inspiring for me to be able to check something out like that.
Right? They at one point they had a celebrity edition of Gogglebox, and one of the people taking part were David and Georgia Tennant.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Right? Doctor Who himself.
And also Purple Man from Jessica Jones.
Right, which was one of the best Marvel live action villains of all time. Because David Tennant can play freaking anything.
Most definitely. So my thing is this. Okay, so what was the standout scene for you that you really enjoyed about El Mariachi?
There were a couple of things. One or two things, especially when they were basically doing the whole like grab the little mini mace kind of thing off the wall and basically using it as a trolley to get down the wire. And I'm like, this feels like a scene that we probably saw in Desperado. You could see some of those early inspirations that would end up in action scenes for Desperado. But I mean, the other thing too is just it was so hard to take Azul so seriously as a total badass because he's sitting there, arguing in the most passive voice. No, I killed 6. Like, no, you killed 10. No, 6.
6. I killed 6. No.
Yeah, and he's arguing it like someone just like got a wrong number. It's like, no, you're Bob. No, I'm not Bob. I'm Dave.
I don't. It's also like the meat counter where, okay, next number. I'm number 7. No, you're number 6 at the deli. Right?
I have a piece of paper. You covered in the 6 and made it an 8. No, it doesn't work that way.
Right. But I do like the innocence of Elle, though, in this movie. And you're right, though. This actually is the stepping stone of Desperado. You can see there were certain layers to what Rodriguez was trying to do with El Mariachi and how low budget it was. But I love the look where it's basically looks like a spaghetti kind of Western type of thing because it is filmed on 7mm. And I also like the look of the indie aspect of it as well.
But I mean, if you were to take this film, and I'm just going to put this out there, right? Given the storyline, the whole mistaken identity thing, you change the soundtrack to this, and it's a freaking slapstick comedy.
You're right. The woman that the girl that Elle falls in love with is trying to cut off his balls and castrate him because of the fact that she thinks that he's the murderer. And well, okay, if you're really in Mariachi, I'm gonna cut off your balls. You need to sing something.
And sing fast. And if you read the lyrics in the subtitles, no, that is not the song you sing to the girl in order to save your testicles. It's not going to happen.
And then I also like how he's like, "You really inspired me." I'm like, what?
I'm telling you, it could be a comedy.
Yeah. It's like a dark
absolutely
comedy.
Be a comedy. Just put some freaking goofy, happy, fun Henry Mancini, Pink Panther kind of music behind it, and it's a freaking comedy.
Exactly. Let's talk about this. I know that we're not going to do like a nostalgia rating because basically ours is like an NA on both sides of this.
Mm-hmm.
And all I seen at the time was just posters of El Mariachi, and that's it. So I had no context. All I did was go into the second film, loving it, and then went into the third film, loving that one. Then go back to the prequel because just like Carlito's Way, it also has a prequel that I never watched.
But that's like watching Blade Runner and then watching Soldier, thinking that it's an actual sequel.
Exactly, which is not, and it's not as good as Blade Runner actually is.
Hey, Soldier is actually a really good film, and you could make an argument that it's a spiritual sequel, but
I gotcha. So tonight on Movie Loves Tonight, we're talking about the movie that basically screamed, "Who needs a Hollywood budget when you've got creativity, a guitar case, and absolute chaos?" That's right, we're reviewing El Mariachi, the film made for so little money that even Robert Rodriguez lost $20 during filming. The production almost got shut down. This guy carrying guitars, another guy carrying guns, and somehow everybody in town gets them confused. Imagine going to a guitar center and accidentally starting a cartel war. And honestly, the action in this movie moves faster than my internet connection when I tried to uploading a review for the last second. Tonight, we're breaking down the insane creativity behind the movie, how Robert Rodriguez turned limitations into style, why this movie still hits decades later, and how this film basically told Hollywood, fine, I'll do it myself. After breaking out of jail in a small Mexican town, a ruthless criminal named Azul ventures off with a guitar case full of weapons and vows revenge on the local drug lord, Malco, who had him arrested in the first place. Meanwhile, a young musician arrives in town carrying his own guitar case, which contains his signature guitar. He hopes to find work in the town in order to pursue his dream of becoming a mariachi like his father. So I like how, we get introduced to Azelle, and we're thinking that maybe this might be the mariachi that we might be getting because we're so used to Tony Banderas being the main antagonist. But he's not. The Elle comes in about 10 minutes later as this little innocent person who's just trying to look for work. And meanwhile, you have Azelle, who's been arrested, who's actually a target for Mako, and Mako wants him dead. So I do like the breakout scene, and then the back and forth between Mako and Azelle is like, well, I'm gonna come over there, and I'm gonna send some guys over there, and I'm gonna kill you. And then you also have the guards who's actually on the same payroll as Mako as well. So it's this whole entire action sequence of him getting the guitar case, trying to get out of prison and trying to escape. And I love this escape scene. I think it was perfectly well executed. Also, too, I can't help but to look back at Tony Banderas in his brother, Bucho. And I'm thinking, is this Bucho, but he's calling himself Mako at first? Because it feels so much like Bucho. This could actually be a short film, even though it's not a short film, the way it was shot, and then just make Desperado one huge production budget later. But it's just little nods here and there to what Rodriguez is going for.
Yeah. I mean, Robert Rodriguez has come out and said that, he made this to try some things out, to see what he could do, right? And it does feel very much so like El Mariachi was almost like a proof of concept shoot. They do this a lot on, larger productions where the stunt people will design the scenes and they'll kind of shoot it handy cam style, and they'll put the little, really bad, cheesy effects in there. It's just so you get the idea. If you've ever watched, I don't know if you're a Game of Thrones fan at all.
Yes.
Okay. Have you watched The Last Watch, the documentary with the making of the final season?
No, I didn't. I didn't get around to that.
Okay. There's a scene in there where the stunt people are being shown filming a quick rehearsal of what the fight scene could look like so they can kind of storyboard it out and send that to the directors. This kind of feels like that initial concept that would end up being Desperado. So it's almost odd to call El Mariachi a prequel to this, but can we talk about that whole prison scene, right?
Yes.
Because first of all, you have Azul with the largest freaking side purse pouch cell phone that you could possibly imagine. That made me remember just how bad and clunky and huge people lost height because of the weight of some of these cell phones that they were carrying around like a purse. But aside from that, you have this elaborate kind of setup where he's got like his cell phone and his briefcase, and he's basically running this business by himself in this prison, which is the last place people would actually look for him, which I like that idea. So the fact that Moko is actually sending hitmen to get him, meanwhile, everyone in the prison is already on Azul's payroll. Rule number one, make sure everyone is paid better than anyone else can pay them. So you have this little old lady in the front who's taking money left, right, and center. She's cashing the F out. So she's the smartest person in this whole damn movie. But I love that, Moko sends, these guys to spring a trap onto Azul. Meanwhile, Azul is 3 steps ahead of everybody and basically has his own trap. Because you have to think, He knows that Moko's gonna be looking for him because Moko owes him money, a lot of money, so clearly anyone who's in this line of work that Azul is in is going to be thinking that at some point in time, someone's going to be looking for him and he's going to have people ready to go. So I like that this is a trap sprung upon to the trap that's sprung onto him. It shows the tete-a-tete between Azul and Moko in the whole thing. Meanwhile, Moko's just hanging out with some rando bikini girl at his home and, reading things off a cue card because apparently he wasn't fully versed in the language, was Peter Marquardt, but it shows the almost equal level between Moko and Azul right off the bat, and that these
Right.
two know each other so well that it becomes almost like a chess game between the two.
Right, because they're both in organized. He's in organized crime. He has people on the inside of the prison that he's paid them pretty good money in case anything happens to him, and they're backing him up. And I like this thing of like both people are basically going to war with each other, and nobody knows even who Mako is or anything. It's just that they have Azel's back because of the fact that he's paid him so well and respected amongst his people to the point where it's like, okay, I'm gonna back this guy up because of the fact that he is paying me money. And
Yeah.
but like you said, the older woman is like, you know what, guys, I'm out of here. Deuces, I'm done. It's been fun working here. I'm not doing this no more. But then you had Mako's people that rolls up and it's all guns blazing at this point. And
Yeah.
I love the action sequences with this. It's not shaky cam. It's you get to see all the action sequences in this film, and that's something that I really do appreciate that Rodriguez does. Is the fact that showing us everything versus it being like shaky cam or something so small in scale. He gives us a wide angle shots of everything that's going on around him.
Yeah. And then the other thing too is that I think part of this is dealing with the budget, right? You can't afford on a $7,000 budget, you can't afford that much film to run through and get all these different angles and whatnot. So it's you shoot it smartly, pre-plan out everything, block everything. But even at a $7,000 budget, you see just the camera eye that Rodriguez has in putting this together. The low angle shot of the guys walking into the prison, just the panning shots going back and forth. Like clearly, he went in with a plan. He blocked everything. So when people knew when it was time to properly shoot, everyone knew exactly what they're going to do, exactly when the camera was going to cut, and you save money that way.
Right, and that's one thing that I thought that was very smart with Rodriguez. Is like, okay, I'm gonna go in, shoot this movie for 7,000, cut it whenever I say cut, no extra film laying around, and then let the final cut be the final cut when we wrap up. So I think it's actually a smarter way to actually keep the budget at the 7,000 to be able to pay everybody, and then also too to make the film.
One of the other things too that I had to keep in check because I am an editor and I am that extra is that I was, and I do this all the time. I constantly look for continuity errors, but one of the things that Robert Rodriguez was really good at was having a number of cutaways so that if something came up that he had to stop and do another take and all that, he had a cutaway. And he would also, if someone messed up a line, he wouldn't do the whole scene all over again. He'd just like back it up a couple of lines, bring the camera in closer so you have what's called a punch in, and it's basically like an extra camera angle. You can do those kind of things, but because obviously this is before non-linear editing becomes a thing, editing on computers, digital zoom in, the whole works. At least it's not as out there as possible. You're still either film splicing or if you're lucky tape to tape editing. It's one of those things where you have to be prepared and know your script, make marks, all that kind of stuff, and find ways to edit around things. And a punch in can really help that.
I agree. I definitely agree with you on that. And I wanted to talk about Al though too. Is I like the innocence of L. He's just a
Mhm.
nice dude that's just trying to look for work, and it doesn't seem like anywhere he goes, nobody wants to hire this guy. He ends up going to this one bar, and he's like, "No, I already got a mariachi."
It's a
He goes,
keyboard
"Really?"
guy.
Is
The freaking Casio keyboard guy. Just so this is basically, this film came out, what, 1992, right?
Yep.
Yeah, bars are still doing this to bands all the time. Oh no, we got a DJ over here. It's all good. He's going to spin his laptop. That's basically what this is. This
Right
is
now that
the
everything's digitalized, yeah, that's
initial.
pretty much what it is.
This is the initial version of bands looking to get paid from bars, and all of a sudden, like, no, we got a DJ tonight. The people are going to dance. Like,
And then once you hear what the DJ has or the piano keyboard player has, it's just a cheap knockoff of an El Mariachi player with no heart, no soul. It's kind of like AI, but instead you actually have a person that's running the whole entire show.
oh god,
And
the drum beat on that keyboard was so painfully funny.
it kind of reminds me of the keyboard we used to have as kids, where we could actually do different sound effects on our keyboards
Yep.
and have the drums, have the snare, and do all that stuff. That's what it reminds me of that.
You used the samba beat button, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Many a time. And that's how I knew this was actually that much cringy watching this.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And I love the fast moving edits that Rodriguez did with this. It's like, okay, he puts it back up and then goes back to sleep.
Yeah. But that's the thing. So there's that's a slow crank, right? As opposed to trying to do that in post-production. Because if you have a regular crank speed, you're going to be cranking it at regular time. But if you slow crank it, then everything becomes sped up when it gets played back at normal speed.
Exactly. And I like how he does it. It's very authentic on the way he did it and with the editing process and trying to get it polished the way he needed to with that scene, because I know that had been hard for him to do something like that.
Oh, hell yeah.
But and then he goes into another bar, and I think it's like Domino is there, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm a mariachi player. I'm looking for work because we're not hiring." Oh, so
I mean, first of all, dude's already lucked out with this town. He thinks this is the town. This is where his fortunes are going to change, because he rolls up on this coconut guy and gets a coconut and then walks off. So apparently, and as I was doing some research after watching the film, apparently they threw in this whole voiceover monologue kind of thing about it's free coconut. This is going to change my fortunes around. It's only because they forgot to shoot El Mariachi paying for the coconut. So they basically wrote this thing around to justify how he was able to just walk away and get a free coconut out of things.
I do like that though, because it's kind of like El is like going into Hollywood thinking that he's going to get his big break as a mariachi player, but instead it's in Mexico. Then you also have like something significant happens, and he's thinking that this is his good luck charm now, which is actually the coconut. And he thinks because he got this free coconut, he's going to make it big because of him being in this town. This town has nothing going for itself. No. You have maybe 2 bars in there in this whole town. Also, too, if you look at the other bar he went to, the one that with the keyboard player, that's the same bar that was in Desperado.
Again, proof of concept, right? But I mean, like, even the fact that, shows up in this town and meets Domino, who's running her business, which was kind of gifted to her from Moco. It's kind of the same thing as in Desperado. Selma Hayek's got that bookstore, that beautiful freaking bookstore that when I saw that, I'm like, yeah, like I know, people see in the clips, there's a bunch of books here behind me. I appreciated that bookstore in Desperado. But it's one of those things where even though the stories are parallel, you can kind of overlook it because the personalities are fairly different. Like Domino isn't as, I don't want to say like thankful for or subservient to Mako, because he did gift her the bar, but there are similarities. You're absolutely going to draw them, but you could see there's a strength of character that Consuelo Gomez gave to Domino that probably inspired what Selma Hayek did.
Yeah, because there's difference in characters, right? That we mentioned. And The thing that I think that works for her is, yeah, she's thankful for the fact that Mako was able to give her the bar, even though he's tied to a bunch of other ugly things behind the scenes as well. Just as Sama Hayek is also tied to Bucho, who gave her the bookstore, and it's two different personalities. It's like, do you want to go with the hot and sexy Sama Hayek, and she has this way about her where
Hmm.
she just draws you in, whereas her as this girl is, she's a little bit as innocent as uh Mariachi, though,
I mean, I don't think she's
in a
as
sense.
innocent as El
Well,
Mariachi, but it's one of those things where she's, for lack of a better term, she's kind of stringing Moko along. Like we discover later on that Moko gave her this motorcycle. So when she was ready to give herself to Moko, that she should ride that motorcycle. The fact that those keys are staying under that vase, it's a power play at that point, right?
right.
She knows that Mako wants her and is willing to give her anything. She's not going to go down that road, but she's clearly not going to stop him from giving her things.
Right. It's like, okay, this guy is a drug lord, and it's like, and he can give me money, and he also can give me a bar. And it's like, okay, you're rich, so let me go in and get as much stuff as I can from you, even though I'm not gonna be interested in you. So I'll
Yeah.
take your money, but I'm not gonna be with you. Whereas Sama Hayek, she was into Bucho, but she's also likes the bookstore as well.
Hmm.
Like, you
It,
can
it
tell that she has a thing for him.
Yeah. Bucho feels a little bit like a means to an end. Like the bookstore is the passion and he's the means to get the passion. Here, Domino, it feels very much like a stronger character, really. Like she's not going to give herself to Mako, even though Mako desires her. She's not going to go against Mako per se, but she's not going to go to Mako.
Right, because remember what she says, "No one goes to Mako. Mako comes to you."
Yeah.
And she even doesn't go over to where he's at or anything either. So
Hmm.
it's like, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there, you're not going to go there.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm thankful for this bar he gave me, but I'm not into him like he thinks I'm into him. She even says it to Al too. She's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, Mako gave me his bike, but he thinks I'm going to ride off into the sunset with him. That's not going to happen. But I have it locked up in case he ever does want to come over here and get it."
Yeah. So,
So it's
yeah.
kind of a different arrangement, which I think you're right. It's more realistic than Selma Hayek's character in as well, to where you can basically have a conversation with Domino, and she's a lot more approachable.
Mhm. It also makes a little bit more sense, you take a look at the town, right? And the fact that, it's kinda mentioned that no one has money in the town. This is another one of those towns that the big crime lord kinda has a thumb down on everything and everybody. Having a bar kinda makes sense because people are still going to come and drink and eat and whatnot. The bookstore in the town in Desperado? No one's coming for books. That's
No,
basically for her and her alone.
that's only for her pleasure, her own entertainment.
Yeah.
And that's it. There's no rhyme or reason for her to even have a bookstore. Even those tourists that came over to that bar are not going to go over to the bookstore.
Nope. Ain't no
So,
one reading in that town.
and even Butcher told her, he goes, you know, you have a good dream, but you're never going to have anyone over here that's going to have a bookstore.
Yeah.
That's going to come to your bookstore.
It's almost like she made the bookstore so she had books to read for herself.
Hey, I'll be okay with just owning a store just to read for
I
myself.
am not hating this idea. Salma Hayek's character may be the smartest person out there because that sounds like something I would do. Make a bookstore that no one goes to so I can read all the books. And then it
It sounds
becomes
like
my
a good idea.
job to read all the books. I'm not going to make money out of it, but yeah, get
Hey,
reading time.
but yeah, how do you pay the rent? Do you just so you know what though? You don't even have to worry about paying the rent if the lights get cut off. Just basically have a lamp,
Yep.
light up the lamp, and just read like the old, like 1920s.
Yeah, get a candlestick and a match, and you're good to go.
So, scene two, from the confines of his heavily guarded villa on the outskirts of town, Mako sends a large group of hitmen to kill Azul. They are told to look for a man who is wearing black and carrying a guitar case. But because the mariachi also matches this description, the hitman mistake him for Azul and began to pursue him. Only Mako, however, knows that Azul's actual face, which I find very fascinating. The mariachi is then forced to kill four of the attackers in self-defense after being chased through the streets as the mariachi seeks refuge in a bar owned by a beautiful woman named Domino. He quickly falls in love with her, and unfortunately, Mako is not only financing the bar, but also has his own romantic interest in Domino, which we talked about. Um, but I do like the mistaken of identity, where you have these hitmen that are very bad at their job, even though they tell him that he's dressed all in black. He's also got a white shirt on.
The initial mistaken identity thing, I completely understand, right? Because if the only direction that Mako actually gives to his goons is he's going to wear black and he's going to have a guitar case. First of all, Mako, your goons aren't that smart to begin with.
No.
You might want to give, paint a picture, will you? Right? Like, character sketch, something, anything. Have you not watched any police procedural shows in Mexico? I'm sure there were some in 1992. Like, say he has a mustache, or something along those lines. Like, you have to think about it. You're sending these people out with the only definition of wearing black and have a guitar case, which sounds like every single musician in the history of ever. Guess what? I wear black and I carry a guitar case when I go to my gigs. I'm not afraid of being jumped by Mako's men.
Right? Because they're so idiotic and one layered, but it makes it, like you said, it's dark comedy if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because in walks Mako's men, and of course, I also like another fast cut of where Al winds up paying the hotel clerk for the room, and then he hurries up, gets upstairs. Next thing you know, the hotel manager winds up calling Mako. Mako calls his hitman, and then you have everything in motion for them to kill Al, which is supposed to be Azul. And the thing that I thought that was really funny about this is he goes upstairs, he sees that thing hanging up, and I'm like, okay, is he going to be slinging that in somebody's face? Is this going to go in someone's crotch? What's going to happen? Because I was thinking he was going to use that as a weapon, but instead he uses it a way to get out of there, which I thought was really fascinating instead of something what I had thought. So I like the thought process that L has. It's like, I got to get the hell on out of here. So
yeah.
And I also like how quickly this moves in this scene, because it's like a cat and mouse game, like Tom and Jerry or Scooby Doo, because you have this thing where, okay, where you have Al goes back into the hotel, then Azul's not Azul, but Mako's people goes back. The hotel manager's like, he's in here, and then they have to go back to the hotel and circle back. So yeah. I like this little cat and mouse game that they're doing.
I want to give the bus driver all the credit in the world, because I'm sorry, if someone falls from the sky and lands on the hood of my bus, my first reaction is going to slam on the brakes, not keep driving. And if I hear gunshots, then I'm going to gun the bus from the completely stopped, holy crap, someone landed on my hood kind of state of not moving. And El Mariachi's probably going to end up getting run over. So it's probably a good thing that we didn't have this. Otherwise, it'd be a much shorter film. But again, as we mentioned, like, this does feel like one of those Scooby-Doo kind of comedies where it's like, all right, he gets away, then he goes back, gets something, and then goes away again. And meanwhile, the guy's still calling the guys all the time. Do they adorn every room in this town with a mace and swords?
That's what I was wondering. Like, is this a culture thing? Because even Domino has it in her room too.
Yeah. Do they have a little store in this town called Maces R Us? But also, I understand that they used a proper little handles with a wheel on it kind of thing to do the slide down the cable. Because if he actually used the mace, sure, the one hand's gonna be fine, it's on the handle, but the other hand means it's going to be holding
The
very
spike.
close, holding the chain to the ball with the spikes. It's going to be digging into his hand because that's how a mace works.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Because I was even thinking the same thing. It's a smart way of actually getting out of there, but at the same time, how are you not messing up your hand?
Right, Mr. Guitarist, if they'll play a little flamenco guitar, you're going to need your hand.
And you know what? If you think about it like this, Mako goes, "I'm going to make sure you never play again," and he shoots
Yeah.
his hands at the end of the film. We're going to talk about that later on. But like, he's already screwed up his hand before even Mako even had a chance.
Yeah. This is what happens when you use a mace as an escape tool.
Right. And then getting onto the bus, which the MVP is the bus driver. If you would for the driving, I wonder if there's a school for that.
But again, it is hard to shoot these kind of action sequences on $7,000. And this is the very first scene that was in the breakdown of the 10-minute film school kind of thing on the DVD was that whole scene where he is running up the stairs. He has to throw his guitar up onto the balcony and then jump up onto the balcony. And he shows all the raw footage from that shoot and the way that is, and the one or two takes that the guitar didn't make it all the way up there. So it's really well done shoot and editing. It's fascinating to watch something like that because if you watch one of like the thinking big budget action movies like the Avengers and how they kind of break down those fight scenes, you have 14 different takes of Black Widow doing a Hurricane Rana on someone, right? And here you are basically doing in-camera edits through necessity, right? This is where I highly recommend that anyone who is ever thinking of getting into making small films, or even if you're in like high school, right, and you got a camera or you got your phone. That's the thing now, everyone's got a freaking camera because they have a phone, right? Get your phone and get your friends and write a script and go out and shoot something, but watch these special features on a film like this, because you're going to get ideas of how to block those shots and block your scene so you can shoot it in a way that works well and then edit afterwards. When I was learning how to do television production, it was one of those things where it was around the time that this film came out. Like I have been doing this since the very early 90s. So I appreciate something like this. And then the fact that this is the first time I've ever actually watched it, I'm like, well, where the hell was this when when it first came out? But it's one of those things where the technology now is literally in everyone's back pocket.
Right. And it's not as complex as what Rodriguez had to do because he was actually filming on 7mm film. You can
Right.
easily block something with your digital camera and cut it in a way to where it's more believable if you're trying to throw a guitar case onto another building or do certain action sequences to make it look believable. Or
Yeah.
even if you're not trying to do something like that, even a drama or a comedy or anything like that, you could still block out certain scenes and cut it to where it's now digital. It's easier to process. You don't have to worry about trying to
Yeah.
do several different edits or anything like that. You can just go in and try to maneuver it digitally versus
Yeah.
the 7mm route.
But think about it, right? Today, you grab your phone, right? And you grab a microphone that you can record with or something like that, and you can run to the phone. That's okay, right? But even the editing software, like you can edit this thing. You can get a program for free on the internet today and edit this at your home. When you consider that apparently they spent like $200,000 on the post-production budget on this in order to be able to make it actually happen and get it properly released, you can do all of this now, and all you need is a plan going into the shoot, a script, and basically the determination to make something. And I wish this technology was so easy when I was learning this kind of stuff, because it wasn't when I was learning this kind of stuff. And to watch a special feature like this, or to watch a film that in 1992, in 34 years ago, took a small handful of cash and made something that became an iconic proof of concept for something that became an iconic moment in action with films, like in independent action films.
Right? Because I even remember, even in high school when we had career discovery, where we can learn how to edit and do film editing and do that kind of thing. And I remember how complex even the little models that they gave us to try and do.
Mm.
And now the complexity is simplified, and it's not as condensed. It's not having to use several different things to edit anything anymore. You can use one editing software to do everything you wanted to do, like you mentioned.
Yep.
And you can even colorize it the way you want to colorize it. You can do different things compared to what you did back in the 90s, because during that time editing took several hours to do.
Oh, don't even on hold tape to tape kind of things. And I'm sure that Rodriguez probably did film splicing for this. But I mean, the biggest thing that I'm going to say about this film, and it's not even the takeaway of the film per se, and I really hope that if there's anyone actually listening to this, just here's a moment of inspiration. Okay, watch this film and then watch the special features, and then go do that thing. Go write that script, go shoot that thing, go edit that thing. And whether it looks like crap at the end of the day or not, it does not matter. Why? Because you are going to have the most fun filming it. You're going to have a couple of laughs while you're editing it. And then you're going to get your buddies together and you're going to watch it. And it may or may not be good, but you know what? It's going to look like art because you actually went out and did it.
Right, and you can say that made something and you tried something versus not trying to do anything at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go out and do something.
And I just want to mention this though too. Like, I know that we talked about the fact that Al goes back into the hotel and grabs his jacket. I'm like, dude, you're pretty much good.
Yeah.
Don't go back in there to get your jacket.
Though I gotta understand that one though. And I say that because when he rolls into this town, the only thing he has that's his is his guitar and the coat on his back, right? That's his mariachi look, right? To look like a proper mariachi, to stand in front of people with the mariachi, the jacket over the white shirt, because the white t-shirt ain't really not much special. This isn't like a
No,
proper button-up t-shirt. This is, hey, I got this at the freaking Kmart there. Like you look like a proper mariachi when you have the pants and the jacket and the shoes and the guitar and the look. Like, if being a mariachi is so much of his identity, which has him going from town to town to town on the good graces of free roadside coconuts, that everything that he is in that look, that perception, and that being of a mariachi. So I kind of understand him going back for his coat a little bit. It's maybe not the smartest character move,
no,
but at least it's understandable if it's the only thing that he has to his name.
right. Something like you said, it's his job that
Mhm.
he's looking for. Him to become the best mariachi and him dressing up to the nine. And then I like the boots that he has. If could get a prop, it would probably be his boots, because I just love how he skids over to the sidewalk with the boots and then he onto the pole whenever he slides. I love that scene. But I also like how now he has to defend himself and he winds up shooting all four of them, these hitmen, the Uzi, and he's just like, I just like how he shoots everybody, and then he just politely just lays the gun down and then walks away. Then you have the other guy that's been shooting on a toothpick the whole entire time, and he winds up looking at the men. It's like, okay, we're messing with someone that's actually a badass now.
Yeah.
We didn't know that he was capable of doing something like this.
That's the one thing that this film doesn't actually do, is that if this guy, if all he ever wants to be is a mariachi, but yet he's also deadly freaking accurate with a gun, like, where did that come from? There's a backstory to El Mariachi that's not being told here, and I don't know if I actually want it told because it's one of those things where um, you don't over explain it. Let the
No.
mystery kind of tell the story, because there is clearly something in El Mariachi's backstory that we're not getting. We don't need to be told it, but we just need to respect it.
Well, don't forget, we also get those crazy dream sequences that he has from his past.
Which, okay, you brought it up. You did. You brought it up. Okay, so I understand the abstractness of this door that is connected to nothing that he goes through in every single dream sequence. And what is he dreaming?
I don't know.
Because
Maybe he took a melatonin before he went to sleep, and he's just and this is what happens when you buy melatonin. I don't know.
apparently this is what happens when you don't have the beer in the bottle. If you drink it out of the glass, this is what you're going to be feeling. But I
just didn't get it.
I'm not the biggest fan of dream sequences, and especially repeated dream sequences. You know, when we discussed Hackers, one of the recurring things in that film was that everyone had a freaking weird sex dream sequence thing going on, and I don't know if we needed it or not. But here, right, you have this repeated dream that shows some kind of past trauma, but it never resolves. Like if if he was having flashbacks of, you know, some walking through this house full of dead bodies and whatnot, and it's only like in the second or third time that we see it that he looks down and there's a gun in his hand, then maybe we get the idea that there's some past crime, violence, gun trauma in him that would explain that he was a badass, deadly shot, you know, can kill anybody at will. But we don't get that. We just get these weird abstract things where he turns, he sees something or someone, and they're covered in blood, and then oh, I'm awake. Like,
Right. I just
eh?
didn't get that either. I
Yeah,
didn't understand that dream sequence. I thought the dream sequences for me doesn't add up. Here's the thing. Everybody complains about dream sequences in The Sopranos, and I love the dream sequences in The Sopranos because at least I can analyze it and it makes sense and it ties into something like you mentioned with Hackers.
yeah.
At least with the dream sequences, you miss with the anxiety of the hackers maybe getting caught, or you have the sex scene with the Angelina Jolie because Dade had a crush on Angelina Jolie, just as Angelina Jolie also wanted to mess with Dade and put him in women's clothing for some odd damn reason. But
Which
still,
somehow aroused her.
right,
What? Yeah, exactly.
right.
Right.
So it's the same concept. This one is I don't know what Rodriguez was going for with this, but it's like, okay, maybe he was thinking, well, we just need to have a scene here to show some type of emotion with L for us to care about even more. But to be honest with you, you can get rid of the dream sequence and we can still care about him.
Yep, it doesn't mean anything at all. Like
Right.
they're there for abstractness and art, I feel. And I understand the want to put a dream sequence. I understand the want to create some kind of complexity in the character of El Mariachi to show us that there's something that we don't know about him. But by doing these dream sequences over and over again, it just tells us that there is something we don't know about him, and we're not going to be told exactly what that was, and we're not ever going to get it explained to us.
Exactly. And then you have the other after that once we have all the dream sequences, it goes back and you're right though. I want to go on ahead and say this. He's a
No,
dead
we're,
shot.
we're good right there. You said I'm right. We're good.
Yeah. But but another thing I want to bring up is the fact that he's dead on center with killing these guys. No gun training, no anything. He's a good mariachi singer. He's single. And he just doesn't have a job.
Yeah. And then he goes back to the bar and says,
Yeah.
I just killed 4 guys. Like, I'm is this a pickup line for you? Like, is this something
Right.
you casually tell people? And I understand that maybe killing 4 people, maybe there's a state of shock there. Maybe there's
Mhm.
like, you know, like the only words out of my mouth are the things that I just did, you know, and I could understand that from a trauma point of view, but or a state of shock. But the fact that he's trying to convince this bartender who just said that she wasn't going to hire him because she had no work. But, pretty girl, okay, I'm just going to go back to the bar. I get it. Maybe it's the only. I'm sorry, the only safe space this guy should be going back to is the free coconut guy down the street outside of the
He was
town's
the only
borders.
one that was.
Right?
Maybe he should just be a mariachi for the coconut guy.
Right?
That'd be the safest option.
You get paid in coconuts, at least you can eat.
Right, exactly. And it's also safer. You don't have to worry about bullets flying at you. That's
Right.
the only right. But with him, it's like the total shock of him killing these 4 people, and then him going back to her, even though she rejected him because she didn't want to hire him. She doesn't know him at all, but yet you're going to trust in her. And who's to say that she doesn't have a connection with Mako? At that time,
Right.
we don't find that out until, and even small towns, they're always connected in some way or fashion.
Yeah.
So why are you going to go and set yourself up for that? Because then she winds up wanting to call. She goes, well, let me see. I'm going to call the cops. That was her first instinct, which I thought Mako was also tied to the cops as well, because maybe he has this horrible entire thing organized with the cops.
But there's the thing. I don't think she really says, who she's going to call. She just goes and grabs the phone. So she was probably going to call Mako in this, right? But it's one of those things where at some point she looks at him and believes him. And it's never really delved into. But I mean, even for him, right? You're in a town that no one knows you. You've met one person, really. 2, if you want to count the guy who runs the hotel. Didn't work out well there either. But you go back to this bar and you tell this girl who, didn't turn you down, but basically didn't give you the work, and you tell her what's going on. I'm sorry, if I'm her, I'm reaching for the phone and I'm dialing somebody really quick. And I don't care what this guy says to me, because I ain't believing a damn word he says. So he's either cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and just trying to impress her, or he really did kill 4 people, and I don't want none of that, right? Because the other thing too is, obviously he's not going to know about Mako. He's not going to know about the power dynamic in this town. He's just going to someone who he feels is a safe space, because at this point he's still the stranger in town. So why would she bring him in? Why would she try to protect him? I that's still not understood. The only reason I could think is she thinks he's cute too.
Right, because you can see her smiling a little bit when she first enters it for work, and she doesn't, like you said, she doesn't exactly shoot him down. It's just that she doesn't want to hire him for work. But I'm thinking that maybe she was into him, but
Oh yeah.
and that was it. And then it's like, okay, I had a crush on this one dude that came into my workplace, and now he's gone, and now I'm going to continue my work. And then all of a sudden, he comes back again. So, and then she winds up hiding him after the fact that he goes, it's in self-defense.
I'm sorry, if the town is really run by Mako, I guarantee you every death in that town is in some point some kind of self-defense.
Right, everybody's in self-defense at that moment.
Yeah.
The hotel manager that wants to kill Elle, everybody's in self-defense.
Yeah, they're defending themselves from getting beat down by Mako if they don't actually call in and tell them things.
Right. She tells him, okay, go upstairs. Well, I'll hide you. Just don't touch any of my stuff. So she's got a pit bull up there. She says, be nice to my pit bull. The pit bull is lazy.
Oh, he's the bestest boy.
I love the dog, though. The pit bull is probably one of my favorite things that she has in this room, aside from that dagger that she has. But it's just like, okay, this dog don't even know him, but yet he trusts him.
There's a subtle thing there, and I think this actually is, maybe it's not, maybe it's a subconscious thing, right? But dogs sense evil on people. So the fact that this dog, bestest little sleepy boy, sees El Mariachi come in, and it's just like, nah, you're cool, and just lets him be. Like, there's something to be said about the instincts of a dog that tells you everything you need to know about a character.
That's true. Because even though that's his first time meeting him, dogs have the best judgment of people. So yeah, I think he just sees him as like an innocent person who's just upstairs in the bedroom and that's it.
Yeah.
And I also like how Elle's over there looking around, sees the bathtub, and then he winds up making himself comfortable in the bathtub. Then as that's happening, she calls Mako. Mako tells her, "Hey, look, this guy's dangerous. He killed 7 of my men, 9 of my men." Well, he told me 4. Well, he killed 9 of them, which I think Mako's just over exaggerating because of the fact that he doesn't know how many hitmen that he even sent out in the first place. Even his own hitman is probably henchmen are already probably miscombobulating the whole thing as well. So, she's well, he told me 4. Well, it's 9. Then she goes upstairs and he's in the side of the bathtub and he also tells her that he's also carrying a guitar case filled with weapons.
Hmm.
And so she winds up going upstairs. She goes, "Want some shampoo?" He goes, "Yeah." So then while that happens, she ends up taking the dagger to his throat at that point, and gets and then after that she gets the guitar case and she goes, "Play something." And then then she goes around and wants to cut off his balls.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things where I get the, check the guitar case. Sure, okay, there's a guitar in there. Okay, fine, play it. Because if he can't play it, if he's supposed to be some mariachi, rolls up into town looking for work, he should be able to play a song immediately. Like everyone has that song they pull out right away. It's like, play something. All right, I'm going to play this because I don't have to think about it, right?
For me, it's Deep
Clearly,
Purple. So Smoke on the Water. That's the most easiest thing to play.
right?
But yeah.
It's funny. That's not my go-to. Smoke on the Water is the "Can I Help You" riff at the guitar store, right up there with not Silent City,
Right.
but the Stairway to Heaven. Yeah.
Well,
Um,
if my boss was being in danger, that would be the first thing that would be played.
right. Also, this scene hurt me a little bit, and I'm not talking about the letter opener to the balls of it all. That guitar is sitting in bathwater. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, you bad mariachi. You do not put your guitar in the water. If you want to make some money and you want to play the songs, you do not put your guitar in the water. Come on.
Even I thought that was a bad idea, though, too. Like, okay, well, congratulations, you can play a song, but guess what? You can also be a bad mariachi and get it wet. So you could also be a fake because of that.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. If you put your guitar in the water, you're not playing in my bar. That's not happening. You don't treat that guitar well. You treat that guitar like it's your child.
I also like how she now hires him for the bar, but it feels like there's been a couple of days since this thing happens. They don't really tell us how many days has passed
Mm-hmm.
because he's singing in the bar. He's wrote a song for her. He he found inspiration with her, and then you have finally when Azul visits the bar for a beer and information about Mako. He accidentally leaves the mariachi's guitar case. Mako's thugs capture Azul on the street, but let him go when they learn that the case is carrying contains only a guitar. A short time later, the mariachi is captured and taken to Mako, who identifies him as the wrong man who sets him free.
Yeah. And you notice how Domino's the only one who actually gives Azul the beer in the bottle. Doesn't have to ask for it that way. But it's one of those things where that whole scene, that mariachi performance scene, you have to have that scene. You have to have that performance because that justifies the fact that he is actually mariachi, and yes, they linger on close-ups as he's looking at her and then looking down at his guitar. He's not really paying attention to the audience per se, except for apparently one old girl who he winks at kind of thing. Because that's okay, you're playing to the crowd. But I mean, it's a nice moment, but it's also the only moment where we have people actually going to the bar and buying things and spending money.
Well, maybe it was a Wednesday.
Welcome to Mariachi Mondays. 2 for 1 beers, and we got this guy in the corner singing, "Bring it on in."
And they act like he's the most popular mariachi. This is his first time. I mean, was there flyers going around that he was going to be singing? What's going on here? Because
All
before
I
it's
know
like
is that dude with the Casio keyboard is fucked now.
Yeah.
Cause yeah.
It'll be funny though, is like, the Casio keyboard, and it would be funny if he started looking for a job and he winds up seeing it at Mariachi playing, and he's like, "Hey man, can I get on this?" No, no, you're good. You
Yeah.
got your Casio. You're good, man. You got
Play
that
a
other
real
part.
instrument. Calling the Casio keyboard a freaking real instrument. Come on.
But that's just like having dubstep as an instrument.
DJ laptop.
But yeah. But I do like this other thing that happens now. Azul goes into the bar, and then you have this thing. It's like, okay, good, maybe. But I also thought that for sure Azul was going to shoot the bartender, and maybe something was going to happen to Domino
Yeah.
because he's after Marco. And I'm thinking, okay, just because you're after this one person, it doesn't mean that everybody at this bar is safe. Everybody that's connected to him is going to die too.
Yeah.
That's
It's it's one of those things where he knows that everyone is indebted to Mako. So clearly Azul gets the vibe that Domino and the bartender aren't really, they don't necessarily work for Mako. They're not, part of this whole underworld thing. They're victims like everyone else who's under Mako's thumb. So I think that's why Azul kind of lets them be. But I mean, it also leads for, this moment. Like I understand that El Mariachi, when he goes out, leaves his guitar at the bar because he doesn't want to be seen, because clearly they're looking for some guy with a guitar who has killed Mako's men. So he leaves the guitar at the bar. But I'm sorry, I shouldn't expect much from a guy who puts his guitar in the bathwater, but he just leaves the guitar by the actual bar, by the foot at the bar, because that's where people are going to kick it. He's
right.
such a dick to his guitar, but also, like, at least put it away. But for Azul, I'm sorry. Did you not? I don't know. Look down where you put your guitar down. Did you not see the second guitar? It's not like we're talking like a small little attache case kind of thing. Like that, it's a bit of a cliche. The oh, look, someone has the exact identical bag that I'm going to grab by accident. It's one of those things where, like, this is a guitar case, and the fact that El Mariachi knew right away when he got back to the bar and lifted the guitar case and realized the weight's different.
Yeah,
If
that's something I was wondering about myself.
If Azul is as badass a killer as he is supposed to be, he would know that a guitar case full of loaded metal weapons, is going to be a lot heavier than a classical acoustic nylon string mariachi style guitar. Those things are light because they're acoustic. It's not electric.
Even I was thinking the same thing, dude. Like, I was like, how do you not know the difference between your guitar case and his? The weight is different. Yes, you might have an identical guitar case, but the weight is going to be different. And you're going to know right off the bat that you have the wrong guitar case.
Yeah.
Unless you're so much in the zone to the point where you didn't get the information you needed. It's like, okay, bye, that's it. And you walk off. But there's no way that you won't know that your own guitar case weighs differently than what an actual guitar in the case is. But he goes out the door, and then, I like how Elle's like, okay, they're looking for a guy with a black coat and also a guitar case. Then he sees Azul getting questioned by the henchmen, and they're like, oh, okay, he's the mariachi guy. He's got a guitar.
There's a guitar in the case. They open up the case. It's this tense moment. Okay, there's a guitar in there. And then, of course, he's like, he turns around and looks at least we get a realistic look where the mob guys look back, and the guys checking Azul's checking the guitar, and they're like, oh, it's him, right? It wasn't just one of those like he got away with it scot-free kind of thing, very much like a Scooby-Doo Saturday morning cartoon kind of thing again. At least there was that moment of reality, and then of course El Mariachi comes around the corner with the actual guitar case. It's like, no, it's him, and it's like, there's a group of you. You guys go follow that guy, and you guys go follow that. Split up, do something.
Right. But another thing though too is Domino was actually smarter about this whole entire thing. Okay, if you're really a mariachi player, play something.
Yes,
But they know. They're like,
absolutely.
okay, he's good. He's got clearance because he has a guitar in
But
his
again,
case.
this goes back to Mako not giving them the proper information. All he said is that he's carrying a guitar case full of weapons. That's it. That's all they have to work with. I'm sorry, we don't do bag check before we kill people.
Right. It's like you do is you kill the person and then you ask questions later. So you take the guitar case to Mako. Mako says, "Okay, you got the wrong guy." Instead, they knock out L and takes him over to Mako's place. And I like how Mako's like, "Look, I'm only looking for Azul. I don't care about this guy." He tosses him back on the road, and that's it. He doesn't. Any other gangster would have actually killed L, but
Yeah,
not him. He's only after one person.
exactly. Do not leave loose ends. That is it's one of the most plot convenient things in this whole thing, right? If Mako is so ruthless and supposed to be so ruthless, yeah, kill him in the truck. Kill him in the truck and dump the body where you left it. Don't bring him back because okay, they knocked him out. He's still unconscious. He must have been unconscious for a while. Um, don't the guy saw you, right? Like don't leave any possibility of any kind of retribution coming back at you. Why would you dump him back?
Right.
Finish
Yep.
him.
Exactly, because it doesn't make any sense. If you're this big time gangster, why are you going to go on ahead and let this guy live?
Yeah. Whoever the guy is that headed up the search party to get Azul, you kill him first. And then you say to everyone else, clean up his mess. And then boom, done.
Right, but no, instead he lets him go and then still looks for Azell. And then after that, Azell, who has no direction to Mako's home, takes Domino with him and orders her to take him to Mako's, or Mako will kill Mariachi. Domino agrees in order to save the Mariachi's life. When they arrive at Mako's gated compound, which looks like, I'm sorry, the gated compound that they're saying that's gated looks like a storage shelter that they were knocking on the door.
Pretty much. This is one of the other things that kind of it didn't bother me per se, but it's a weak point of note in the script in that Azul and Mako were like brothers, right? They worked this job together. Mako sent Azul up the river kind of thing to take the rap for it. So if Azul knows Mako so well, why wouldn't Azul know where Mako is?
Makes him look like that he's actually a hired hitman for Mako versus it being the other way.
Yeah.
If you think about it, because it doesn't make any sense. If Mako is so close to him, like brothers, why would he know where he lives? That's a little bit. I feel like that's where Rodriguez misses in this little. I think for this ending, because it doesn't make sense. But we
Plus,
have to have a way to get Domino away from the bar to where they can play hero to get L out of there. Even though L's not there, we as an audience knows he's not there, but they don't know that he's there. Not there
yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, no. It's a little plot convenient, I get, but we could be sitting here nitpicking the whole thing, but they
Right.
spent $7,000 on it, so
Right. You can't really go wrong. But uh, then after that, Mako soon realizes that Domino has fallen for the Mariachi and rage shoots her both and Azel. Suddenly, the Mariachi arrives to find the woman he loves. Gunned down. Mako then shoots the Mariachi's left hand, rendering him useless as a guitar player. However, overcome with grief and rage, the Mariachi picks up Azel's gun and kills Mako, taking revenge for Domino's death. Mako's surviving henchmen, seeing their leader dead, walk off and leave Mako's body and the wounded Mariachi behind. this is where Desperado comes into play
Mhm.
with this scene.
I think this is one of those interesting things, right? Because I'm hit or miss about this. Hear me out, right? On one hand, I can understand why once El Mariachi kills Mako, his henchmen just don't do anything. They just go back into the house and could probably go on and live a happy life and have their own little power struggle to figure out who's going to take the lead. And I think that moment is supposed to tell us all we needed to know about Mako, right?
Right.
It's not like Mako was a good boss, but to the same token, he didn't. At no point was he ever violent towards any of his henchmen, right? I think you needed to have a scene where Mako did kill one of his own men to show that, they were working kind of out of fear as opposed to out of being well taken care of, which, because otherwise it's like, okay, you just killed our freaking money bank. You just killed our, our for lack of a better term, our sugar daddy, right? Like the guy who
Right.
was basically making sure that we were all fed and taken care of. And it's not like we were running a big town kind of thing, but we kind of had the run of the place. Why wouldn't they turn around and shoot El Mariachi? But it's one of those things where I think probably in part because you didn't want to have a big shootout to kill your budget.
Right.
But to the same token, on a subconscious level, it tells you more about Mako than anything else that Mako has done in this entire film.
I agree, and I also think this though too. Like with Mako, well, let me go with Bucho for a minute. At least with Bucho, he shows some type of dominance over his own men. All
Yes.
Mako did was take a match to someone's face and just let a match and lit a cigarette.
Yeah.
That's all he did, and there was no really any type of. This is like the most friendliest gangster that you can think of. If you think about it, okay, let's see here. He lets L go because he's innocent. Just an innocent bystander who got mistaken identity. Then also too, he gives Domino her own bar. He also is very nice to his henchmen.
Yeah. When El Guapo from Three Amigos is more menacing as a bad guy than Mako is, we have to up the bad boy level a little bit.
Right. Then that's pretty bad, especially when you look at Three Amigos and the villain for Three Amigos. And this guy should be getting like the Employee of the Month award for best supervisor.
Would you say he has a plethora of sweater?
But even the guy with the mustache, after Al winds up shooting Mako, I was thinking, okay, is this going to be Bucho, or is this going to be the villain from the third movie?
Mm-hmm.
But that's supposed to be a prequel. But at the same time, though, you kill Mako, who's actually the boss. It's kind of weird on how he's thinking back for revenge for Bucho for killing his girlfriend when it was Mako who killed his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird on that kind of scale. I'm thinking to myself, okay, maybe the guy with the match is actually Bucho. And no, because I'm like, you know what? I'm thinking too much. This is a Rodriguez film. I don't need to be thinking because he reuses actors all the time. And because Cheech winds up dying in Desperado, he reused him again in Once Upon a Time in Mexico. So then I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna forget about it.
Yeah, just suspend all disbelief. Actors come, actors go, and don't worry about continuity at that point.
Right. The Mariachi leaves the town on Domino's motorbike, taking her pit bull and her letter opener, by which to remember her. His dreams to become a mariachi had been shattered, and his only protection for the future are Azel's farmer weapons, which he takes along in the guitar case.
Okay, so clearly he's leaving town, and I'm fine with him leaving town, right? I'm even fine with him bringing the dog, but did we have to put the dog on the back of the motorcycle? Like,
Yeah, I'm with you because I understand dogs like riding in cars.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but dogs are gonna be shitless. Well, that explains why the dog wasn't in Desperado.
Like literally one squirrel and that dog is roadkill.
Hell, one cat and the dog is gone.
Right? I mean, best as boy, I get, but and I understand the one. Why not? Because clearly these guys aren't coming for you. They've seen what you can do. Take over the damn bar, and then you have a place to play.
Right. But no, I feel like, and I said this in Desperado, it almost feels like Kung Fu, where it's like, okay, one mariachi on an adventure to go through town to play at a bar, one city
But
at a time,
yeah,
killing people.
yeah, but why don't we just freaking play the end music from the Incredible Hulk TV show? Do 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 do. Walking off down the road. There goes David Banner, not Bruce Banner, because the TV show didn't want to call him Bruce Banner.
No.
No.
But okay, so now that we talked about this scene by scene, what do you give it?
I'm still giving it a 7. Despite everything that we were kind of having a good chuckle about this film is inspirational in a way that goes beyond the script. It goes beyond the any of its flaws. This film is greater than all of its flaws put together because this film is a dream. This film is a labor of love and proof that the big Hollywood budgets aren't needed in order to be able to tell a really good story. This film is inspirational for those who have aspirations to become filmmakers. So for all of its flaws, for all of the things that you could sit there like a proper film critic, not like an idiot like me in a basement with a microphone, but a proper film critic could sit there and pick this apart little by little. But if you're just someone who loves film and the idea of making a film, watch this. And then you grab a pen and a paper and then you go do this or your very own version of something like this or something of your own vision. This film is a launch point for personal creativity if you allow it to be. And for that, yeah, it's a 7.
Okay. For me, it's a 6.5 out of 10. Like, I liked it, but I needed, and I'm not nitpicking. I just think it's a great time just stuffing popcorn in your face. But I just think Desperado is the better film versus.
Oh, hell's yeah.
Yeah. So it's just the fact that I'm comparing from apples to oranges. Now, if I would have seen this whenever it got first released and seen Desperado afterwards, I might actually rank it a little bit lower, maybe. But for Desperado, but I have to go with a 6.5 just because of the fact that it's good, but not quite as good as Desperado.
See, I went 7 because the budget was $7,000. But if you watch Desperado first and then you watch this, recognizing that this is basically a proof of concept shoot, then there's a charm to it. Yeah, there's an absolute charm to this because it is very much a by hook or by crook guerrilla filmmaker rules kind of production that you don't get to see in theaters and on DVD. Like there was a stretch of films like in around like the the early 2000s kind of thing, but movies like The Blair Witch Project, and American Movie, and Fubar, a great Canadian production. They're not big, shiny, glossy productions. They are avant-garde, guerrilla, by any means necessary filmmakers putting together a story, and the story takes over, right? It's not shiny, glossy music soundtrack and all that, like the whole works with the big name stars. This is raw filmmaking and something that you don't get now in theaters. No. Everything has to be run through the, for lack of a better term,
company,
the Hollywood machine,
producers. Right. And by the time they're done with it, you don't even have a film. You don't even have the creation that you made in the first place. And
No,
Rodriguez was smart at the time to film this for $7,000. And, not only that, I don't know if you knew about this, but this movie was originally meant to be a direct-to-video Spanish language release in Mexico.
because why not, right?
Right, it makes sense. And then also too, Rodriguez used a wheelchair as a do-it-yourself dolly for moving camera shots.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is the thing. This is the beautiful part about making these kind of films, right? Is that you don't need the big dollies and the cranes and all that kind of stuff. You don't need the big explosions. You don't need the big budget in order to be able to make a film. You can hop in some hospital wheelchair and have your buddy pull you backwards so you have a makeshift dolly, right? If you're not comfortable with doing handheld, especially if it's a hand crane camera. Again, this is why I say today's technology, there should be more films being released that are low budget, no name actors, but raw storytelling. A lot of these films these days, especially the ones that go to Netflix, for the most part, there are some good ones, but for the most part, there are movies that are scripted because they know that the people aren't necessarily just sitting there and watching the film. They're watching the film. They're looking at their phone. They're watching the film. They're looking at their phone. They're on the phone talking about the fact that they're watching the film. They can't believe they're watching this film. Like the film isn't grabbing you.
Right. And it's grabbing your attention. You don't even have to focus on the how many minutes this movie is or anything. This movie doesn't even feel like a 80 or 90-minute movie. You're in this movie and then you come out of it just feeling entertained and feeling
Yeah.
inspired with the cuts that Rodriguez made, the camera angles, the do-it-yourself stuff, and then, like you mentioned, and I'm gonna actually watch the special features too because there's a lot of special features that I need to check out
Yeah.
because I was intended to do it, but I just didn't have the time to do it. But I love watching special features and featurettes and behind the scenes stuff too. So I liked everything about this movie, and it's inspirational to people that want to be able to be creative and be filmmakers. So, guys, what I have to say is this: go out, make a movie, stop sitting on your ass, criticizing other movies, make your movie first, and then you have a reason to criticize other films. Other than that, you don't have jack. So,
Exactly.
because here's the thing, I actually wrote a couple of screenplays and then that I have, but I never really fully developed. But at least I have a chance to actually sharpen my edges before I want to go out and do it. So at least I'm doing something while also analyzing film, so that way I cannot, so that for whenever I judge something, I know that I'm actually judging it correctly and I'm not giving any type of misinformation or misguidance to the way I review or critique movies.
Oh, I mean, I constantly talk about how the writing sometimes doesn't do an actor justice when I'm on. It's
No,
not that bad. But I mean, I say that knowing that I have a manuscript upstairs that has been turned down by a few publishing companies. So, I fully get that I'm also that writer that can't, make ends meet on that one. But it's true. It doesn't matter that no publishing company ever published that book. It does not matter. I did something and it's
right.
sitting right now in a binder upstairs with a whole lot of red ink on it where like, oh, so that's where I screwed up. But you know what? I had so much fun writing it. And maybe somewhere down the road, I'll actually maybe just self-publish it and put it out there and say, what the hell? Go for it. Right. Um, but it made something.
Exactly.
And that at the end of the day is fulfillment in and of itself.
Exactly. And guys, I hope you find this episode very inspiring to you. I hope that you guys like this episode. Do me a favor, smash that like button, subscribe button, and also to give me a 5-star review if you see it deemable. Go ahead and visit Jason at It's Not That Bad podcast. It's a great podcast. I just listened to one of his episodes this morning about the Fannings, so check that out. And that's going to be it as far as this goes. Jason, thank you so much for coming on here. It's always a blast talking movies with you, reviewing movies with you. Thank you again.
Oh, dude, anytime. And I'm really looking forward to when we finally talk about Once Upon a Time in Mexico, because that's going to be a blast.
Yes, it is. And we're actually going to do a ranking of of all three of these movies on where we rank them at, too. So
by budget? Because I guarantee you this is the lowest one on budget.
This will be third. But no, we're not ranking it on budget. Sir.
Okay.
Okay. But anyways, guys, that's going to be it for tonight. I hope that everyone has a great day, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.